money and created inflation, who then was associated with the World Economic Forum promoting net zero, and now he is Prime Minister of Canada. This is what the left are able to do, running that network. And I wasn't aware of how powerful these people were until I became Prime Minister in Britain. I understood that we had to fight the system, but I thought we could achieve it by reform, by change within the system itself. And that's why I ran to be Conservative Party leader, to take on the economic orthodoxy, to cut taxes, to get fracking, drill baby drill, and to restrain the size of the state. But what happened is when our plans were put forward, I faced smears, I faced lies, I faced massive hysteria about what we were trying to do. Even though before and since, far higher deficits have been generated, far higher debts have been generated, and indeed, the guilt price has been higher. But what the authorities didn't like is the way I challenged the groupthink and I challenged the orthodoxy. In fact, the Bank of England have admitted that period in 2022, the vast majority of the market movements were down to their failures to regulate the pensions industry. But none of those corrections have been printed in the mainstream media. They would rather perpetuate the lie that it was my fault and my responsibility. And this really opened my eyes to how powerful unelected authorities are, how powerful the globalist network is, and how powerful the left have become and how well funded. The only hope is to take them on directly. And that's why I completely support what President Trump is doing in America. Taking on Harvard, taking on the State Department, dismantling the bureaucracy, doging the officials. And some people say he's gone too far, he needs to use a scalpel, he can't be pushing it so hard. But I know from experience that unless these people are taken on head first, they won't be defeated. And that is what our movement across Europe now needs to do. We need to create a Trump-style revolution across the European continent. I know from my own experience, it's not enough just to win an election. It's not enough just to be in office. Because at the moment, the left control the playing field. They control the rules of operation. And they have rigged the rules against us. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to change the playing field? Well, first of all, we need independent media. We need the Joe Rogans and the Ben Shapiros of Europe and the UK. And we need to make sure that they have a huge audience. The second thing we need to do is we need to repeal the left-wing laws, and we need to leave the failed international institutions. The ECHR, the WHO, we should not be part of them. We also need to dismantle the bureaucracies that we have at home, because you won't be able to win with a group of people who are not on your side, a group of people who are smearing, leaking and briefing against you. And we also need an alternative institution to Davos, one which has financial might to be able to take on the networks and the power that the left have. Ladies and gentlemen, we need a great restoration in Europe. We need to restore Christian values to our continent. We need to restore parliamentary democracy and freedom. We need to restore the nation state. That's why we're here today. That's why we're here at CBAG. And we need to keep going to make Europe great again. Thank you.
Elkötelezett